Hey guys, Hope Fado here at home in my kitchen with the question for you. And I've got my phone plugged in because it's about to die. And so it's sideways. And so if I look like I'm looking all over the place, it's because I'm not accustomed to doing my video like this. Anyway, I am at the same time that I'm talking to you, and the lighting is kind of horrible. I'm sorry for that. Hello, good morning. So, I am still here. I'm just putting some water in my tea kettle, and then I will get on with it. Do you guys, how do you make your tea? I have a couple different ways. Anyway, good morning, Raleigh. Northport. Okay, so there you go, right? I titled this the way that I did on purpose. So there's gonna be, I'm sure, a lot of people answering in the comments that are gonna tell me literally where they live, right? I live in Maryland. I live in a townhouse. I live in Germantown. Those are all true statements. However, that's not the conversation that we're having here this morning. So, the light is gonna make me crazy. Okay, so where do you live? Well, I am talking about your emotional home. Your emotional home, not your physical home, your emotional home. So this is a concept that I have understood on some level for years now, right? But did you ever hear something explained in a certain way that it just resonated with you, that you were just like, oh my God, like that person just put into language in a way that I really got it at a new level, right? I think that's such a beautiful gift. And so this lighting is gonna make me crazy. I don't know if I can fix that. I'm sorry, I'm playing with this. It's making me bonkers. Oh my gosh, and Facebook like wants me to put all these crazy masks and things on it, which is not what I want to do. Oh, there we go. Oh, yay, that's a little brighter. Okay, so I'm gonna stop playing with that. Oh, yeah, I know, but my phone is plugged in, so that's why. You're just gonna have to accept me a little dim, right? Okay, so I went to a Tony Robbins event in the fall, Unleash the Power Within. Can't recommend it enough. Tony Robbins is amazing. And and there was so much, right? It was days, really long days, full of way full of so much stuff. And this is one thing that really resonated with me. There were many, but it was about where you live, your emotional home, okay? And so some people live, and a lot of people don't even stop and think about this, right? That's why it's such a beautiful awareness. When you take some time to really think, right? Where do I live? Like, where do I actually live? My emotional home, where do I live? And so some people live in anger. Some people's emotional home is anger. Some people's emotional home is victim. Some people's emotional home is blame, which is kind of similar to victim. You know, there are a lot of, you could just continue, right? I could just continue saying different emotions that people tend to primarily live in. It's their place, it's where they come from. I'm sure and sometimes it's easier for us as humans to look at other people and be like, oh, they live here, I know that person, right? She's always reacts in anger, like that's totally where she lives, that's where she comes from. But I want you to think about the answer for yourself, right? Because that's the only answer that really matters. Where anybody else lives is none of your business, right? And taking care of our own home, that is everything. And for me, in a very physical home for me is my body. Yes, I'm standing in my home, right? which is wonderful, and I'm grateful for it. I love my home like more than anything, truly. Being home, at home, is my favorite place to be. But my physical home is my body. So taking care of my physical home, taking care of my emotional home, taking care of my spiritual home, my mental, which is emotional, mental together, right? Those are all so important to me. And the example that Tony Robbins gave was he realized at a time that even with everything he had and all the work he was doing, and he was doing seminars, that his home wasn't where he wanted it to be. And he decided he wanted to live in a beautiful state. So Maryland, I think, is a beautiful state, but that's not what he means, right? It's a beautiful state, living so that no matter what is happening outside of your home, that you are in control of your home, where you come from, right? How you process what is happening around you, what feels like is happening to you, because a lot of times we think things are happening to us, right? And so for years I've been doing this work. I agree, Riley. Just be happy is an amazing feeling. And it's funny, so guys, I get a lot of judgment, I get a lot of pushback, I get a lot of, feedback from people, whether it's here on my page, whether it's friends, family, whatever, from other humans. I get feedback that that's like, you can't just be happy, right? You can't just be happy all the time. I can't be like you. I can't, that's just not how I am, I mean, that's great that you're that way, optimistic, and, and it kind of makes me giggle and also makes me feel sad at the same time, because the truth is, yeah, you can. I'm not saying it's like that split-second decision, right? It is a decision, but then it's a continued decision. It's a moment-by-moment decision. It's not even a day-by-day. It's a moment-by-moment decision. But you have to decide, where do I want my home to be? Where am I going to live? What's my emotional home? And just like you're not a tree, you can move, right? You can move everything inside of you as well. You can shift it. And it takes time, it takes work, it takes practice, right? But you can do it. And so I realized when I was listening at the seminar that my emotional home, and it has been for a long time, my emotional home is rooted in appreciation and gratefulness. So even in the midst of some pretty serious heavy shit in my life, over the span of my life, right? We're not just talking like today. No shit is happening today. All is well. But you know what? My motto is all is well. No matter what is happening, right? All kinds of shit can be happening. And it can be sad. I can be having a rough day. Bad things can be happening in my life. Last year, a lot of bad shit happened, you guys. My life is not sunshine and rainbows, but it is. There was some really hard stuff, I lost my dad. He was in an accident, and I sat in the hospital with him for almost a month. He never regained consciousness, and he passed away. That was hard. I lost some friends who were very dear, close, I thought, friends. Not even sure why to this day. Right around that same time, so it's like double whammy. That was hard. My business was not going the way that everything felt like this big, giant cloud of muck. However, because my emotional home is appreciation, because I truly believe, and I mean believe, right? You can't convince me otherwise, that things are happening for me, not to me. I know that there's some kind of bigger reason, and I'm still grateful. I'm still grateful in the midst of anything and everything that could happen, that has happened to me. I have that. No one can take that away from me. That's a home that you can never lose. Never. And I gotta say, for a control freak like me, to be in control of my emotional home, to be in control of my reaction to things, right? There's nothing better. And so I just, take a moment today, if you feel so inclined, because I'm putting it out there. If you want to share, that would be amazing, right? If you are feeling brave and open and vulnerable, which I think brave and vulnerable are hand in hand, right? Showing up real and authentic and genuine and sharing your shit in a responsible way where you're coming from a place of responsibility. To me, there's nothing stronger. That's what I strive for. Like, when it's uncomfortable, that's when I know I need to, right? So I'm putting it out there to you. Where do you live? Where is your emotional home? And you might not know right away. You may need to process it for a few days. You may need to figure it out. And if the answer is something that you don't love, like if you realize that your emotional home is complaining, if your emotional home is depression, if your emotional home, and I've lived there before, guys. So it's not just like poof, like it's never been a difficult time for me. It has. For many, many years of my life, my emotional home was anxiety. I'm not currently struggling. I hate that word, right? Because it keeps us in it. But anxiety is ever present, like in my entire family, runs rampant. I was on meds for years, and I actually think they're wonderful, because I needed them. But, it's there. It's not like it's not. However, because I'm very strong in my emotional home, I am able to manage it, right? It visits, right? It comes over from time to time. And don't get me wrong, because my emotional home is appreciation and gratitude, doesn't mean I don't ever feel any of those other things. Sometimes I leave my home and I visit anger. Sometimes I visit blame. Sometimes I visit some other places. And for maybe a moment, they feel kind of good, right? Because I'm attached to being right, or because I'm stuffing my feelings, or because I'm escaping something, whatever. I'm human. But it doesn't feel good ultimately when I leave my emotional home and visit someplace that actually is not a very nice place to live. And then I'm so grateful I can go back. It's like when you were a kid and you're playing a game and you run back and you tag home. That's what it feels like. That's actually, sorry, my daughter called. I have to call her right back. That's what it feels like every time I leave my townhouse and come home. I feel like that. But that's what it feels like too when I get a little off my path and I recognize, oh, this does not feel good. I've got my emotional home to run back to, and that's because I've practiced and practiced and practiced, and I'm not willing to accept anything less. I'm just not. So it is, like I said, a moment by moment decision. Some days it's not even hard. It's just easy. It's just where I live. Other days I get to practice adjusting that tiny little shift back to where I want to be. But that is my question for you today. I'm going to go drink my tea and call my daughter. I hope you have an amazing Saturday. And thank you, as always, for your time. Thank you for sharing. Have a wonderful weekend.